that Finkel and Kai get to be unanimous and nobody else does.
I think Bob would be a unanimous choice, but I think he's gonna lose some votes to his.
He's not that much better than a Castle or a Z or. I'm not sure he's not in the class of John and Kai.
I think Bob is a beloved player though. He's beloved by the voters. He's beloved by the players. I can't see him not getting a vote. The only thing that I think some people may take a stand on suspensions.
Yeah, and some people may take a stand. I can also see somebody saying, you know what, Bob shouldn't be unanimous. So everybody else can vote for him. Fine, I'll leave him off my ballot because I think John and Kai should be special.
What do you think about Charlie Catino's ballot, where he only voted for John Finkel?
Right. Because that's what he was saying. He was saying nobody else should get to be unanimous. Castle should get in first ballot, but he shouldn't be unanimous. Was Charlie's take, and nobody else belonged in the class with him.
It's amazing how head and shoulders John is.
Yes.
You know, you're holding him up against some amazing players on this ballot. I mean, every one of those guys is obviously an excellent player. But I mean, there's a handful of players who are just superstars, and I think without John on the ballot to contrast with them, it would be a lot easier to make the decisions.
Yes, it's true.
But he just overshadows everyone else.
Yeah, they all wind up blurring together because they're all so far behind John.
You know, John has more money than the next two people behind him on the money list.
Really?
I believe that's the case.
In the class?
In the class.
It's not quite true all time. Nikolai's up to like 170.
By the way, talking about the year 2 ballot, kind of an interesting thing going on here. Tony Wallamies is eligible year 2.
For year 2? Oh, nice.
If he wins here, you know, puts up a nice finish in either LA or Worlds.
Oh, Zidek used his Teardrop Kami to tap Moss Kami and clear a path. He's going aggro. He's decided to serve with Scuttling Death, serve with Callous Deceiver. He crunches over for 5. That'll knock Vegeta down to 9.
Vegeta could choose to block with his Mirror Guard.
Could, but isn't.
I don't think he's going to.
It's interesting. Vegeta had left the Moss Kami back on defense, though. And the Empty Graves comes down. Meanwhile, on the back table, Johan Sadijpour barely survives an Alpha Strike from David Larson, but does survive and does pull out game 2. So Sadijpour up 2-0.
So just talking about the all-time money winners list over here.
Yeah.
So John Finkel is $291,000 lifetime winnings.
Sure.
Below him, you have Darwin Castle at 147, and below that you have Dave Humphreys at 143.
It's like $300 above the sum.
He's still a couple $100. He's got change on top of what those guys.
Wow, and look at that. Hovey is in 5th. How I feel. Tommy Hovey is on my ballot. It's funny. Tommy Hovey was on my ballot because I was thinking about the 2 Pro Tour wins, and I thought about voting for a European just because he was a European. But the more I look at Hovey, I'm voting for him because he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's 5th on the list in money. He's number 1 on the list in median finish. And he's 5th on the list in money with how many PTs played? Like 30?
He's got 30.
So the guys above him played 35, 48, 49, 47. He only played 30. The guys immediately below him played 33, 38. 34. These guys just played more PTs than him, but he's got the highest median finish in the class. He was the first guy to win 2 Pro Tours. And he's just a really good player.
Right.
And it's not just peak value either. I mean, you got like Ulerade was had a higher peak value, I thought, but he played for shorter. But Hovey 30 Pro Tours is not a small number. Yeah, I think Hovey belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I think he belongs on the first ballot.
He was one of the first.
I also, by the way, think Tsuyoshi Fujita is about to send Arnos Zidek home very unhappy. He's now added Scaled Hulk to his board and a Promise Kanushi. He's now attacking with the Mirror Guard and the Moss Kami, so Zidek is down to 8 and doesn't really look like he's got a window to attack for much here. Zidek was up 2-0.
2-0 and thought he had won his match.
Wow.
That's a horror story.
And Tsuyoshi Fujita, the fact that he's just playing this format different from everybody else is awesome. I think that's just a cool story.
Look at his curve on the board. It goes 1, 4, 4, 6, 6.
And the 1 came down last.
Yeah.
And he says his
Actually, he's got
Graveyard
two.
has got a counterspell.
He's got 2 1s, 2 4s, and 2 6s.
Sure looking good for Fujita here, right? What does Zidek do to get back in this?
He has a clutch of Kagamaru that he can use to kill something, but I don't know that he can get back in this. Once Green starts getting its giant guys on the board against a deck like Blue Black, unless you have a ton of removal, like he can try to soul shift back into the game and take guys out. But I just don't. I think right now Fujita can just attrition him out.
Yep.
He's just that Scaled Hulk is probably going to attack as a 6/6 every time. You've got a pair of 6/6s coming in. There's just not really, he can block with Scuttling Death and Kami, Empty Graves, get the Empty Graves back, try to trade that with a guy next turn. Get back his 1/1 Teardrop Kami to tap something down, but that's, you're just going through the motions at that point. I don't think he has any kind of game-breaking spell in his deck that's going to bring him back into the game. He does have a Devouring Greed, actually. Devouring Greed, if he drew Devouring Greed off the top here,
It does 8 right now?
So, yes, well, he's going to have to block something. Whose turn are we on? We're on
Jidek's main phase.
We're on Jidek's main phase.
He needs to get in.
Well,
Devouring Greed costs 4.
Devouring Greed costs 4. He needs to flip
If he
up.
blind flips the Callous Deceiver and hits a land, he can fly over for enough damage to have Fujita in greed range. He'd have to have greed and win a blind flip.
Right.
I guess if he attacked, well, he can't afford to lose anybody in combat, so he can't really afford to attack on the ground.
Well, he
He's on the
can
greed
afford
plan.
to lose one guy and get back a Teardrop Kami.
Yes.
But
Sure.
he can only afford to lose his Soul Shift guys. Either of his 2 Soul Shift guys.
The way Jidek's moving his mana around, he might actually be on the blind flip plus Devouring Greed plan.
Oh yeah, he was. I guess.
So he was upkeep. Did he know the card? I don't think he had a chance to peek.
He's got what? 3 cards in hand or 2? Looks like 2 cards. Is one of them Devouring Greed? That's the question we've got to ask here.
He peeks. Then he'll need another land.
Well, he could be holding a land.
He's holding a land. He can afford to peek.
But I don't even. I mean, if he's just hoping here, like if he doesn't have it and he doesn't attack, he's just going to lose on the crack back. 2 cards. It's got to be land Devouring Greed, and that has to be a land on top of his deck for him to win this game.
Sounds right to me. I mean, you might be able to survive another turn, but
That's not the
he's
look.
going to lose some creatures.
That's not the look of someone who went 3 for 3 on those criteria.
You don't think so?
I do not believe so. He might be looking at a defensive Devouring Greed here.
Possible. I don't know how that leads to a win, though.
Well, he can Devouring Greed, sacking, getting back 2 guys. He can get back a Teardrop Kami and an Empty Graves, play the Teardrop Kami, tap down a guy, and then, actually, if he can Devouring Greed for 6, stay alive, but then he still has to get in for 3 next turn. Everything's, at 1 point for Fujita is probably giving him some real headaches.
Auntie Malin has a Patron of the Nezume running back in his match against Wallamies, by the way. Wallamies is just throwing men in front of it, apparently. Oh, Wallamies could not find a solution and scooped. So Auntie Malin up 2-1 in that match. So Malin's up 2-1. Sottage Pour is up 2-0, and we're in game 5 here.
Got a little, here comes something. I think we're
13 lands for Wallamies, by the way. Kind of a mana flood game. Okay, Zidek taps all 5 of his available lands for
Death Denied.
Death Denied. Getting back Teardrop,